You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome to another anime video. Today I'll be kind of doing a review, but technically I can't really review this since it is technically a lost movie. But at the very least, I'll be discussing it and discussing what I've seen of it, because there are some clips that have been recovered. So if you've already read the title, then you already know this is about the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Lost Phantom Blood movie from 2007. In preparation for this, I watched the partial restoration of the movie, where they restored about 26 minutes of the movie. Most of it without, audio. It had music, but most of it didn't have dialogue on it. So, Phantom Blood had this movie adaptation back in 2007 that had a very limited theatrical run in Japan and apparently wasn't very popular in theaters. And it was done for the 25th anniversary of Araki's manga career. In addition to watching the partially restored video, I've also watched the Schuckmeister's video on it that kind of explained some context behind the movie. I've also taken a peek at the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure wiki page about it, which we might take a look at later on in this video as well. So a little bit of backstory leading up to this movie. Back in 1993, an OVA series of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure was started. It was adapting Stardust Crusaders, and for whatever reason they decided to start with the second half of Stardust Crusaders after they've already arrived in Egypt. But then a few years later, in around the year 2000 or 2002, I've seen both listed, though I'm not entirely sure which is more accurate. But around that time, sometime between 2000 and 2002, they decided to adapt the first half of Stardust Crusaders. And for those of you unfamiliar with what Stardust Crusaders is in relation to JoJo, Stardust Crusaders is Part 3. Phantom Blood, the movie we'll be talking about today, is Part 1. If you've seen the Phantom Blood anime adaptation or read the manga, you already know what to expect story-wise, but there are a few differences. This movie, rather than starting out with the stagecoach crash with George Joestar and Jonathan as a baby, actually starts out with Zeppeli as a young man training in Hammond. It does eventually show the stagecoach crash shortly afterward, but before that we get a little bit of backstory of Zeppeli training with some monks. Another difference I spotted was when Dio kicks Danny, JoJo's dog. It's very much more obvious that it's intentional, whereas, it's obviously intentional in the anime adaptation that came later on as well. But I feel like Dio would have less deniability in this version because, at least in the other version, Danny ran up to him before Dio fucking kneed him in the face. Whereas in this, Dio just runs up and just kicks him in the face for no reason. Granted, it was clearly for no reason either way, but, there's no disputing it in this movie adaptation. Granted, in this version, it seems like a lot less violent of a kick. For the most part, everything I could see was pretty much similar to the way Phantom Blood plays out in the current anime, although I really like the different animation style. I prefer the new animation, to be fair, because I feel like the new animation is really the only way to do JoJo justice, but it's still nice to see a different take on it. Rather than having blue hair in this like he does in the anime, Jonathan has brown hair in this like he did in the manga. Another very interesting thing is the voice actor for Jonathan himself would actually later go on to voice act Diavolo in the anime adaptation of Part 5. Now, here's the part that makes the movie probably not as good, because apparently Speedwagon is pretty much absent from it. I've heard conflicting things. I've heard some say he's in it, but is only a thug leader on Ogre Street and never joins up with JoJo. And I've heard other people say that he's completely absent from the movie altogether, going as far as to say no one's even credited as voice acting him, so he couldn't possibly have been in the movie. Either way, with a severe lack of Speedwagon, I can see that being a huge detriment to Phantom Blood, because Speedwagon is a huge part of what makes Phantom Blood work. Not to mention Speedwagon is easily the best JoBro, and is very important towards the other parts with his foundation, the Speedwagon Foundation. Obviously, with the absence of Speedwagon, there were some changes to some key battles in Phantom Blood because of it. So yeah, apparently there's rumors that Araki himself didn't even like this movie. I can't find anything to substantiate those, and neither could the Schuckmeister in his video. But maybe he didn't. Maybe Araki just didn't like it, but I don't know. I have never heard Araki speak on it personally. Despite the lack of Speedwagon, I'd still really like to see it, just because I know controversial opinion here, but Phantom Blood is my personal favorite JoJo arc, so I'd like to see a different interpretation of it. Don't get me wrong, I love the other arcs, but Phantom Blood I like solely because of the story. And later on I might do a video expanding on that, ranking the current parts that I've seen, which is only parts 1 through 5, and I've only read the first chapter of part 6. So keep in mind, I have not read Stone Ocean, and nor have I read Steel Ball Run or JoJolion, but I have seen all of the anime and read the first chapter of Stone Ocean. But yeah, there's not a lot I can really say about it because it is lost, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the wiki pages about it. Alright, so now we have the wiki right here. So as you can see, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood film. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Phantom Blood is a 2007 animated film produced by animation studio APPP, who previously handled the animation of the earlier OVA series. It is an adaptation of the first arc of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga series, Phantom Blood. The film was produced to commemorate the 25th anniversary of creator Hirohiko Araki's career as a manga artist, and was given a limited theatrical release in Japan starting on February 17, 2007. Since then, the movie has never been seen publicly and has not been released on home video. It is currently considered lost media. The theme song was Voodoo Kingdom, a single by group Sold Out. And as you can see here, we have the cast: Jonathan Joestar, played by Katsuyuki Konoshi. Again, this guy, Katsuyuki Konishi, however you say that, went on to play Diavolo in Part 5. Then we have Erina Pendleton, who's played by Nana Mizuki. Dio's played by Hikaru Midorikawa. Zeppeli's played by Rikia Koyama. George Joestar is played by Tsutomu Isobe, and again, apologies if I say any of these names incorrectly. Dario Brando is Kazuyuta Ozawa. Wang Chan is played by Jun Idara. Bruford is played by Toru Nara. And Tarkus is played by Yoshinori Soribe. And Tonpetty is played by Yoshisada Sakaguchi. So as you can see, there is no one credited as Speedwagon, so this would support the thing that I've heard, that Speedwagon is not in it at all. And manga and film differences. Dio's inner monologues are not depicted. His motives for bullying Jonathan are never explained. Okay, I could see why that would be a detriment. The boxing match, rugby game, and first encounter with Erina are omitted. All of that's... Really? Okay, I can start to see why people didn't like this adaptation as much. I still really want to see it, but there's a lot of stuff cut out, damn. And again, I have no way of knowing that because I've only seen, 26 minutes of it that were recovered, but yeah. 2 extra scenes are added, one where Dio steps on Jonathan's necklace from Erina, and another where Jonathan hurts himself on a needle Dio places in his bed. The concept of ripple is not explained clearly. The ripple's dexterity is never demonstrated. It is treated as fighting energy used to power up Jonathan's punches. Okay, so they oversimplify the shit out of Hammond, essentially. Robert E.O. Speedwagon is omitted. Yeah, okay. Jonathan's fight with Jack the Ripper is omitted. Okay, yeah, I'm beginning to see why this is not the most well-received adaptation. Dio uses his vampiric power to transform his hideout in Win Knight's lot into a giant castle. I mean, that's kind of cool. I like that. Dio does not meet the protagonists in the graveyard. The Dark Knights, Bruford, and Tarkus are already waiting for them and are taken out quickly by Jonathan's Ripple Overdrive. The scene where Bruford gives his sword to Jonathan and names it Luck and Pluck is omitted. Tonpetty appears by himself. The characters Poco, Dyer, and Strizo are not featured. Really? Dyer and Strizo are omitted. Like, Poco, fine, whatever, he's just a fucking little kid. But Dyer and Strizo are very important to the plot. Okay. Tonpetty's flashback with Zeppeli takes place on a cliff as opposed to a tightrope over a Tibetan temple. Tonpetty reading Zeppeli's future and also causes a shockwave that blows away the surrounding clouds. The scene where Zeppeli, Jonathan, and Dio clash under the moon takes place after Jonathan defeats the Dark Knights and in proximity of Dio's castle. Dialogue between Dio and Zeppeli, including the famous bread line, is omitted. Ah, really? So we don't get to find out how many breads he's eaten. Dio counters Zeppeli's ripple with his freezing technique, and Jonathan intervenes in a scene similar to the manga. Zeppeli is killed in this encounter, however, in a manner not unlike Dyer's death. The specific behind the freezing technique and why it counters ripple are not explained. Zeppeli's hair does not turn white when he passes his life energy to Jonathan. Jonathan does not light his gloves on fire to counter Dio's freezing technique. He instead overcomes it by powering up during their clash. The ship Jonathan and Erina board sails through the Pacific Ocean instead of the Atlantic Ocean. This is an error, as Erina is still rescued near the Canary Islands. The baby Elizabeth is omitted in the movie. In the manga, Erina chose to die with Jonathan, but is persuaded after he asks her to save the baby. In the movie, she enters the coffin without Jonathan saying anything. So you're telling me Lisa doesn't even exist in this movie? What the fuck? Trivia. Despite the character's own lack of involvement in the movie, the Japanese comedy duo Speedwagon, comprised of Jun of Junidata and Kazuhiro Ozawa were allowed to voice Dario and Wang Chan respectively. On the movie poster, Jonathan is modeled after Joseph from the cover of Volume 8. Whether this was intentional is unknown. During the theatrical release, the prologue cutscene from the PS2 game was played before the movie. Interesting. But yeah, there is the PS2 game does kind of tie into this. In fact, the teaser trailer for this was released on like a special edition of the PS2 game, which was for a while the only bit that was recovered. Obviously, that's no longer the case because there's about 26 minutes that have been recovered. Alright, so now we're checking out the Lost Media wiki page of it. So as you can see, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Phantom Blood, partially found anime film based on manga, 2007. Okay, let's see how long this is. Okay, so it's a little lengthy, but we'll dive in anyway. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Phantom Blood was a 91-minute film released on February 17, 2007. That was based on the first part of Hirohiko Araki's long-running manga series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. It was produced by Studio APPP, with Junichi Hayama serving as director. Sound designed by Tom Myers of Skywalker Sound, and end-theme promo song titled Voodoo Kingdom by Japanese hip-hop band Sold Out. The film itself was made in celebration of both the 25th anniversary of Araki's career as a manga artist and the 20th anniversary of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. The film was teased as early as 2004 at the Tokyo International Anime Fair. Bandai, who co-produced the film, acquired the license to make a JoJo video game, which they still hold today, in order to make a game for the PlayStation 2 based upon the Phantom Blood manga itself to help generate excitement for the film. The film's first proper teaser was unveiled at an event promoting the PS2 game, attended by several cast members and even Hirohiko Araki himself. This teaser would later be included on a pre-order exclusive bonus DVD with the PS2 game. The website for the PlayStation 2 game is still online. Phantom Blood was only ever publicly shown in Japanese cinemas, with its last known screening taking place on the 9th of April 2007. And was not seen again after leaving theaters. The reason for its disappearance is not known, but many speculate it's a combination of its poor reception and Studio APPP following year due to a religious controversy surrounding their 2000 OVA based upon the series' third part, Stardust Crusaders. So yeah, that is what leads me to believe that the Stardust Crusaders first half, that was actually the second OVA, was released in 2000 rather than 2002. I think 2002 was when they started dubbing the OVAs and bringing them over here, but I could be wrong on that. Notably, the shell of the film's now defunct official website can still be accessed via the Wayback Machine, although most of the site's content appears to be inaccessible. The website can still be accessed today with some link, but be warned, as it is now a not-safe-for-work Japanese site and does not feature the same contents someone would think. Got some kinky Dio and Jonathan Yowie on there now or something? Availability. Since concluding its run in theaters, the film has not been made available in any form. The PS2 game's teaser trailer and theatrical trailer, once downloadable from the movie's website, were the only footage available for some time. A work print of the film's first 16 minutes with music only, provided by the film's composer, were used as course material for sound design products at the Academy of Art University at some point, with one student uploading his assignment to YouTube in 2012, making a significant portion of the film viewable to the public once more. And that's how a lot of the partially restored cut on YouTube exists. In addition to the film itself, a 2.5-minute test animation played at the 2004 International Anime Fair. It was also lost for a time before being found in an eBay auction by a YouTuber by the name of Mangomation. Mangomation then won the eBay auction and has since made the test animation public on September 14, 2019. It featured characters and scenes not in the final film, including the infamously removed Robert Speedwagon, and the animation that did not reflect the final film whatsoever. So this could be why there's confusion as to whether or not Speedwagon appeared at all, because I distinctly remember seeing him for like a split second during the partially restored cut. So it looks to me that the partially restored cut used part of the 2004 test animation. But yeah, there's the wikis. But yeah, the Phantom Blood movie, definitely something I would love to see get a release, even if it's not the best adaptation. Because I always love seeing different interpretations of things. I mean, if they're done well, obviously. I mean, even if they're not, I'd still love to see this because I love JoJo, and Phantom Blood, like I said, is my personal favorite JoJo part. Like I said, I'll explain my reasoning on that in a later video. And for a while, I wasn't able to decide my favorite part, but I think I have. I think. Here's the thing. I'll do a video ranking and going in explanation, but so far I'd rank the parts. The best part being Phantom Blood, then Diamond is Unbreakable, then Stardust Crusaders, then Battle Tendency, then Golden Wind. Obviously, that is subject to change because, I've been rewatching JoJo again. And, yeah. But, yeah, that's it for now. Have a spadoinkle day, and goodbye, JoJo.